Howdy, folks. I'm Charles Ham, author of the book Ponder on It, Pilgrims. It's a three-time #1 international bestseller that has sold in 13 different countries. If you'd like to find out more about it, you can visit my website at charlesham.com, or you can find it on Amazon. It's out there. Folks that know me have learned to associate me with the place I call Round Mountain. Now, Round Mountain is my place up in East Texas. And when I first got it, it was just absolutely, totally wild. Just growth, forest, old log trails that had been made many years before, but were scarcely more than paths, just hardly any way to get around. No outbuildings of any kind, no improvements. But I got at the place and determined that I wanted to have a place that would still stay identified with Texas and with the United States, but I wanted to establish the Republic of Round Mountain. And I'm trying to assess the situation there, and there just really wasn't much to go on. Critters of all sorts were all over the place, and there were no rules, no laws, nothing to govern anything, no basis to make a decision about anything. And I decided that I would meet up with Thelma, who is a white-tailed doe that I got to know early on. She was the first critter there that really befriended me. And I saw in Thelma a leader, and she has become a real stay at Round Mountain and has a lot of responsibility up there now. But Thelma and I decided that we needed to go visit with all the different critter clans. Now, when I say critter clans, these are the normal families of critters as you would expect. We have the white-tailed deer, we have wild hogs, we got the bobcat clan, coyote clan, fox clan. It goes on and on. The coons, squirrels, possums, armadillos, all these different families. And the diversity of Round Mountain is a model for anyone who ever wanted to study what real diversity is like. So we called a meeting of each of the clans, and Thelma and I went down and visited with them, each one. And we told them that this is what we were going to do. We were going to establish a Round Mountain Critter Council. And if they wanted to be represented at the Round Mountain Critter Council, they would have to vote on a representative that would come to the meetings and speak for their clan. Well, this went a lot more smoothly than I thought it would. And we called a meeting for the first Round Mountain Critter Council on a Saturday morning, and all the different critter clans had a representative there. And we started the meeting and was trying to, I had an agenda, and Thelma helped me work it up. But we wanted to just establish kind of a government on Round Mountain. And there needed to be rules that all of us had to follow. So we came up with the idea of a Round Mountain Critter Code of Conduct. And so we started debating that, and it got kind of heated because what we were doing is essentially trying to make rules or a code of conduct rather than laws, but it would have to be something that everyone would agree to. And all sorts of things were thrown out, and we had all kinds of suggestions coming from the special interest of all the different clans on Round Mountain. But the first thing they did was elect me president for life of the Republic of Round Mountain. And Thelma was elected as my second, and she would be the enforcer of the Round Mountain Critter Code of Conduct. And any violation of the code, we could bring the person to Thelma, and she would determine, it's kind of our judicial system, Thelma would determine who was at fault or someone had violated the code in some way. And if there was no satisfaction there, they'd bring it to me, and whatever I said, that was the end of it. But I want to tell you what we finally came up with. 4 things. The first one was be respectful to everybody. All the critters are required to be respectful to all the other critters. Be nice to everybody. Everybody has to be nice. The third one was mind your own business. And the fourth one was don't give advice unless you're asked. And we talked about how unsolicited advice is seldom well received. If somebody cares what you think, they'll ask you. That was it. That was the Round Mountain Critter Code of Conduct. And we got to thinking that any infraction, no matter how far out it might go from being specifically mentioned in the code, everything that you could do that would be considered inappropriate or wrong would fall into one of these categories. And so the Republic of Round Mountain was born, and all the critters have now found themselves in a place where they can live in peace and harmony with one another, and it's just a great place to be. There was one thing that they brought up after everything was sorted out. They'd gotten in the habit of coming down to the cabin every morning. All the critters would come down there, meet me on the porch, and I'd give them all a belly rub. Well, we started talking about the belly rub issue and how frequently it needs to be. And I was telling them that I thought that we should, once a week. They all come down and I'd give them all belly rubs. Their negotiating position was every day. And so we jawed back and forth and fussed and argued, and finally we worked it out and made a compromise. They get to come down every day and get their belly rubs. So that's just a little bit about Round Mountain. If you read my book, you'll hear references to Round Mountain and the different critters and how, being serious, I started seeing all of these wonderful wild animals, and I started personifying them and giving them names, and wrote up and came up with stories about them all. And a lot of this will appear is in the book, Ponder on It, Pilgrims, with the lessons of the story. There's always a lesson there. So now you know a little bit more about Round Mountain. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a Texas grit, and then I'm going to let you go. Never try to give a belly rub to a bobcat if he doesn't want one. Okay, I love y'all. See you next time. Bye-bye.